see that only really patient people have left. Okay, if you want to track the session in the internet or return to it later, here's the short URL. It's tinyurl.com/ysprint-DCWroc. And I will be talking about why you should stay with the community and why you should attend a code sprint tomorrow or later. Just a few words about myself. My name is Valerie Lourie. You can find me on all places on social as Val. In social I mean Drupal.org, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, Gmail, whatever. I work for American company Prelegent LLC, and yeah, I have a little bit difficulties with my identity because, like I said, I'm working for an American company. I'm a citizen of Israel. My mother tongue is Russian, and I live in Bulgaria. But it happens. So I'm working for Prelegent, and I also have my own private initiative called White Trout, and my purpose is to foster work of young people, mostly students that study information technologies, and I help them to learn Drupal by participating in real-world projects and actually getting some money. So it's a kind of trade-off, and I hope that both sides are win-win. I'm currently working only with students from Russian Federation, but if you think that you can participate in that program, or you know someone else who can benefit from that, ping me. I'm sure all of you saw that slogan from Drupal.org, come for the software, stay for the community. And there were plenty of sessions today about the software part, about Drupal 7, about forthcoming Drupal 8, which is going to be the best Drupal release ever, as it always happens with the new major release of Drupal. But I'm going to talk about the second part, which is stay for the community. There are different phases of this community, but what I'm going to talk about is sprints. So what is sprint? Sprint is a short period of time when different people gather together physically, sit on one table, several people, and solve the problem they have personal each to scratch. That usually happens on major Drupal events like DrupalCon. We see more and more often that happens on local Drupal events like DrupalCamp, and I'm glad to know that happens in Poland as well, in Wrocław. So it's important to understand why people come to sprints, why people decide to contribute back to the community instead of just using Drupal as their tool, which is perfectly okay. There are several reasons. First reason is that contributing back to the community is really rewarding. On Drupal.org page, which is actually has become a new CV, and I've heard that a lot of people, instead of sending their paper printed CV or a CV in form of Word doc, just send to their future employers a link to their Drupal.org profile, which lists all their contributions or commits, what events they took part in. Second reason for participating is education, because the best way to know something is to build it. And the way to build Drupal is open source, so you come to Sprint and you build the tool that you use on your day-to-day job. The last but not least reason to come and participate in Sprint is communication. You know, the freelance work and remote work is a big thing in Drupal world, and a lot of people work remotely, so coming to sprints and coming to camps and DrupalCons is one of the rare opportunities for them to see each other and to meet in real world. And you know, most of us developers are introverts, and we have problems communicating with one with each other. There is a joke that you can easily, there are extroverts in our community, and you can easily distinguish extrovert developer when talking to you, he or she looks at your books. That's the extrovert property. But at the bottom line, participating in contribution events like code sprints is about your relevance in job market. If you're talking about company which employers do not participate in contribution, and I have worked at such company for a long period of time, like 5 years, and I know other people who work in, I call it isolated companies. And the thing is, when a company is isolated and it uses Drupal or other tool, it doesn't matter, in an isolated way, without communicating with other people who work with the same technologies, the technology stack that this company uses can be whatever, like what code versioning system this company uses. It can be CVS, SVN, Git, Mercurial, Bizarre, you name it. If you're talking about integrated development environment, debugging tool, it can be ZenStudio, PHP Storm, or other of 10 or 15 names on PHP software development market. The same about communication tool. I have worked in a company that used as a communication tool a program called Link.
It sucks.
Maybe, but that was a decision of company.
I also work at the same company that was Link, and it was not.
But the thing is, the more you work in that isolated company, the harder for you is to go to the open job market and find something that suits you well. If you're talking about almost any Drupal shop that participates actively in contribution, which workers are active contributors, they have a lot in common. Let's say they use for communication IRC channels, they use Git as their code versioning system. Most probably they use PHP Storm as their development tool, and they have Drush and XHProc installed on all of their computers, right? You know it. And it's not just a coincidence, it's just a result of people gathering together and communicating, and each one tells what he uses, and as a result, people come to the same conclusions that this tool is good for that purpose. And as a result, most people start using the same tools which suit well for their job. So, when I was working in isolated company, I was never looking on the sites, because I knew well that it's really hard to find the same position with, let's say, with the same level of salary and the same set of skills and requirements as I have, because it's very rare and very unique set of skills. So when I decided to find my new place of work, only my contribution in open source project, it served as a base of requirement set that was demanded by my future employee. So how it applies to you as future contributors, and how it applies to Drupal in general. You maybe have seen this picture before. It's Drupal learning curve. You see, it differs a lot from other content management systems, which are pretty straightforward. The more time you spend on learning the tool, the more success you have. In Drupal, it's something different, and that is correct for, I think, all versions of Drupal except Drupal 8, and I will talk about it in a moment. So, there is a group of people who are on the top. They have spent enormous amount of energy to understand what is Drupal, how it is built, how to develop for Drupal, and they feel comfortable. They are in Drupal island. It is hard to get there. It is almost impossible to get out of that. The thing is, there are a lot of people that feel comfortably out of Drupal island, like people hanging. They are stuck with Drupal that they need to work with it. They can get unstuck and unhung. They're dead, actually. But some people are happy with that. And there are a lot of people who are happy in the bottom of that line. Let's say poor content editors. The situation is you can't get easily, and you can't easily change your position on that graphic. Now, Drupal 8 is different. Here's a Drupal 8 learning curve. You can find yourself almost on any point of that curve. It doesn't matter, because when you spend more time, you're just moving on that curve, and in a month or two, you can find yourself on the same position, maybe knowing better something. So the thing is, if you were in the previous slide, you were on top, you were in comfortable zone, and you're a Drupal 7 developer, you're out of comfort zone. Drupal 8 is different. You have to accept that. You kind of have to learn a new tool, which is more close to other PHP frameworks than previous versions of Drupal. So it will be harder for existing Drupal 7 developers to adopt Drupal 8. But at the same point, it is an excellent window of opportunity for people who were not aware of Drupal previously, who came to Drupal from other frameworks. So it's a game changer. Sorry. Yeah. The question that I hear a lot while participating in code sprints and other contribution events is, can I do anything? I don't have enough skills. I don't know how to start working with Drupal core, or I'm experienced Drupal developer, but I never contributed to Drupal core. What if I fail? What if I can't find a proper task for myself? If that is the main question that you ask yourself, then there is an answer that of course you can do anything. I have checked fresh statistics of Drupal core that are correct for today. As you can see, there are more than 500 novice issues. Novice issues are issues for people who have never worked with Drupal core before. This is something that every people starting working with Drupal core can do. Simply entering Drupal issue queue, searching for novice issues, picking the right one, and starting working on it. You also have to understand that for every issue that exists in Drupal issue queue, there is more than one task. Because it's not enough to find an issue, to write a patch, the story doesn't end with it. It's only the beginning. For every issue, there are different types of tasks that different people can do. So if there is a problem, someone has to write a patch, someone else has to review patch, because we do not accept patches that are reviewed by the same person who wrote the patch, for obvious reasons. There is a thing called issue summary. That means that developers from one side are lazy people, and from other side they're busy people. And it happens a lot that someone has found a problem, but he doesn't have enough time to explain the problem. So what he writes in an issue is, thing A in module B doesn't work. That's it. Go find the problem. So there is a very important task of issue summary update to find the problem and to explain what the problem is. And you can agree with me that you don't have to be qualified PHP developer to do that. All you have to have is a will to spend some time to understand what the problem is and to summarize it in a good, readable way. If you did that, you helped a lot to solve that problem. Because a well described problem is a half of the solution. There is a task which is called issue triage, because if there is a patch, then someone else needs to see if this patch is well written, if it solves a problem in a good way. If this is a bug, then probably we need a unit test to ensure that this bug will not return in the future. And all of this can be applied to the same bug. So we have one issue, and how many? 6 tasks for the same issue. That means that we have like 3,000 tasks for novice people. Meaning we obviously need people, and the almost only requirement to these people is their will. The skill is not a barrier. A barrier is your will and maybe shyness. Don't be shy. Okay, so you have decided that you want to come. The next question is how to pick a proper issue. How to pick the proper task that can be done by you. The best way to do it is Drupal issue queue. There is a link in the end of slides. But you can go to just Project Drupal, and there is advanced search of issues. What I do usually, I select active issues for Drupal 8.x issues. It is possible not to limit only to bug reports. Tasks can be different. And yeah, it's possible to see here that issue tag can be a novice. That way you ensure that you get only novice issues. Other good type of issues is needs reroll. That means that someone else has solved the problem in the past, but this past was some long time ago, so there is a high chance that the patch that was written no longer applies, because Drupal 8 code base is changing rapidly. So the patch written a year ago won't apply for sure, and someone else has to look at the old patch and write a new patch. And this is a good starter task. If you're still not sure how to pick the issue, or there are too many issues to pick, there are people that are here to help you. At DrupalCons, at every DrupalCons, on major Drupal camps, and twice a week, we have an event that is called Core mentored hours. No, it's not here, sorry. No, it's here. It's called Core Mentor Hours. It happens twice a week. One of these times is Wednesday from 6 to 8 Central European time, so this time can be relevant for most of you. The second time slot is Tuesday early in the morning, so it's more for American users. If you don't know how to install fresh copy of Drupal 8, or you don't have full application stack on your machine, there's a good stack made by Acquia. I'm not affiliated with Acquia in any way, so I just know that this tool works for sure. It works well with Drupal 8. It works for Mac OS and Windows. If you are a Linux user, so then you probably want to set up things your way, and that's totally okay. Next thing you need to do to start working with patches is Git and a program called Patch, which in a lot of distributions Patch is a part of the Git package. And you need to get the fresh version of Drupal 8 code. So I think that instructions to download Drupal 8 from DCWroc have some missing part. I always recommend people to add this --dev equals 1, because otherwise you get the full history of all commits to all versions of Drupal. Probably you don't need that. What you need is only the last version of Drupal 8, which was right for the moment that you start working. If you continue working, you can get only delta of your local sandbox with the latest changes, but initially you always should start cloning Drupal 8 code with --dev equals 1. And the last thing that you need to know if you start working on porting contributed models, not Drupal core itself, then you should be working not with the latest Drupal 8 code, but with stable one. And thanks God we have Drupal 8 beta. So the thing you should do if you want to port contributed model, you should download stable 8 release, which is now beta 2, right? And then start working with a Git repository of your own model. If I haven't convinced you to come tomorrow, or you don't have an option to come tomorrow, there are bi-weekly happenings in IRC channels. So you should go to DrupalOrg/core mentoring. Like I said, the time slot that suits European users happens on Wednesday, and you can almost always find me there. I'm available as usual. So if you want to return to that, here are the links, and the first link is the URL of these presentation slides, link to core mentoring program, instructions for new contributors. So you're welcome to visit these links, and I will be more than happy to see you tomorrow. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer.
I have a question about writing code about updating to Drupal 8, but I mean not core but contribute modules. Do you also do it during these sprints, or you just make the core? And the second question is, okay, you said every time you want to make update on module, you have to download stable version, yeah? So previously you were working on alpha when you were trying to make an update of, for example, views. So in this moment, all these changes are not up to date, yeah?
Yes, that's a pain point actually. When Drupal 8 was in alpha stage, it was practically impossible to start porting contrib models because API was changing. So I made it by myself, I started porting my models to Drupal 8 and I left it. Because when I have changed the code that was already working for the third time, I just understood that it's not practical. Now Drupal 8 is in beta, and beta means that API-wise we won't see any changes, or at least we won't see changes that will break existing code. You can be sure in that. Like the only possibility for API change that will break existing code is something critical. And I don't expect something new critical to appear in Drupal 8 beta. We have enough criticals already. Regarding your first question, do we port contrib models on during mentoring hours?
I mean these
That's
modules which are in the core, which will be on the core.
Sure. Every model that is part of core, yes. People are working on them during mentoring.
I mean,
Views is part of these models, yes. I mean, most people, when they come to core mentoring hours, they don't know what subsystem they want to work on. And that's totally okay. If you know exactly that they're going to work on views or tweak or something else, that's great, that's awesome. That will be easier for us or for yourself to find something appropriate.
Any other question?
So thank you very much and see you tomorrow.